YouTube wipes out thousands of propaganda channels linked to China and Russia. And this is your favorite half Chinese.
Before we continue, please like, share, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you.
Let's see what they have to say according to CNBC. Google removed nearly 11,000 YouTube channels and other accounts tied to state-linked propaganda campaigns from China, Russia, and more in the second quarter. I'm going to ask you all straight. Did you ever see any so-called propaganda campaign from China? If so, please link it in my comment section so I can have a look at it, because I haven't seen any yet. Google removed YouTube channels, ads, accounts, and a blog linked to RT, the Russian state-controlled media outlet accused of paying prominent conservative influencers for social media content ahead of the 2024 election. The active removal of accounts is part of the Google Threat Analysis Group's work to counter global disinformation campaigns. Google announced Monday the removal of nearly 11,000 YouTube channels and other accounts tied to the state-linked propaganda campaigns from China, Russia, and more in the second quarter. I really wonder which accounts those are, because I have literally no idea. The takedown included more than 7,700 YouTube channels linked to China. So are they saying that people from China are not allowed to have a YouTube channel on YouTube? I thought we live in a free world. I thought that YouTube comes from the United States, and the United States calls itself leader of the free world. These campaigns primarily shared content in Chinese and English that promoted the People's Republic of China, supported President Xi Jinping, and commented on US foreign affairs. So that is what they call propaganda. When you are disagreeing with the mainstream fantasy stories of the mainstream Western media, then you are considered to be propaganda. If you are promoting the People's Republic of China, propaganda. If you are supported of President Xi Jinping, propaganda. That's ridiculous, right? Anything that you say about China that is good can now be labeled as propaganda. Anything when you say something is good about Xi Jinping, then you will be labeled propaganda. That's kind of weird, because you will not have diversity anymore in what people can or cannot say. Therefore, there's no free speech. And you are forcing people to say other things than that they usually would say. That's oppression. The takedown included more than 7,700 YouTube channels linked to China. Over 2,000 removed channels were linked to Russia. The content was in multiple languages that supported Russia and criticized Ukraine, NATO, and the West. Well, again, that is also going against freedom of speech, because freedom of speech, I want people to understand, freedom of speech is not for your daily chit-chat between your friends, right? Freedom of speech should be protecting political speech. And in political speech, why does it need to be protected? So that everybody can say whatever they think about the topics what are happening in politics. So you should not be angry or call something propaganda when you are supportive of Russia or criticize Ukraine, NATO, and the West. That's their opinion, and they should be allowed to have one. That is what we call freedom of speech. And it is wild to me that the governments don't step in when social media platforms are taking away our constitutional rights to freedom of speech. And thereby, they're also directly influencing the minds, especially of the younger generation, into thinking in a certain way of which they would not be thinking or might not be thinking when they had a free will. But they will not have a free will, because if you only get one story and you do not get to see the other side, you do not have a free will anymore. I think that is very clear, right? And don't need to explain that, or do I have to explain it? No? Yeah, I knew you're smart. Google in May removed 20 YouTube channels, 4 ads accounts and 1 blogger blog linked to RT, the Russian state-controlled media outlet accused of paying prominent conservative influencers for social media content ahead of the 2024 election. Tim Pool, Dave Rubin and Benny Johnson, all staunch supporters of President Donald Trump, made content for Tenant Media, the Tennessee company described in the indictment, according to the CNBC. YouTube began blocking RT channels in March 2022, shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine. I think this was the state that called for it. I'm not totally sure, so I'm not going to blame YouTube for blocking RT channels. I think it was the state that wanted it, but then you also have the argument, who is giving the orders to the state? You eventually come back to the owners of YouTube. The active removal of accounts is part of the Google Threat Analysis Group work to counter global disinformation campaigns and coordinated influence operations. Well, that's very funny that I read that from CNBC, and I'm sure they still have their channel up. They have been bringing a lot of misinformation, especially, let's just face it, the Iraq, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, etc. They were all misinformation campaigns. So all of a sudden, it's weird to me, right? It's not about misinformation. They don't care about that. Google's second quarter report also outlined the removal of influence campaigns like linked to Azerbaijan, Iran, Turkey, Israel, Romania, and Ghana that were found to be targeting political rivals. Some campaigns centered on growing geopolitical conflicts, including narratives on both sides of the Israel-Palestine war. The findings from the most recent update are in line with our expectation of this regular and ongoing work. A YouTube spokesperson said in a statement, Google took down more than 23,000 accounts in the first quarter. Meta announced last week it removed 10 million profiles for impersonating large content producers through the first half of 2025 as part of an effort by the company to combat spammy content. This, ladies and gentlemen, smells like fascism, honestly. And we need to start to talk about these kind of things. Why is it that a private company is allowed to take away the rights of the freedom of speech of the people, right? These are constitutional rights given to us by the Constitution. Even the government is not allowed to touch those rights. The highest body, like a president, is not allowed to touch your right to freedom of speech. But a social media company is allowed to. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is because of fascism. Fascism is the marriage between the state and the corporations. And we all know who owns them. It's all the same group that is also paying all those, what they call donations. The things that you get a very hefty prison sentence for, if not a death sentence in other nations, because there they call it bribery. And this is so problematic. And especially I would like to ask the Americans, what do you guys think of it? Because every single time I hear you all talk about freedom of speech, but when your rights to freedom of speech, your constitutional rights of freedom of speech are being taken away, it seems that you have no problem with it at all. So I'm kind of curious on what you all think of this. I think my point is quite clear. I don't think it is right to do so. Misinformation, all right, but do it across the board, right? Do it across the board, but they're not. what is it that I am not allowed to be supportive of Xi Jinping? The man pulled like what 100 or 200 million people out of poverty, put China back on the international space, right? And he did great things, and I'm not allowed to be supportive to him. Otherwise, they will delete my channel for propaganda. I mean, seriously, why would I not be allowed to promote the People's Republic of China? It has a huge, nice culture, right? And I am planning next year to go over there to document something. And why should I not be allowed to do that and post it on YouTube? So what they actually are saying is, if you are not speaking negatively about China and Xi Jinping, then we don't want you on this platform. That's literally what they're saying. When it comes to Russia, if you dare to take sides for Russia or criticize Ukraine or NATO, a war machine that literally fought all its wars under false pretenses, literally, by all this American media put out to influence your mind to that you will be okay for all those wars that they started. And later they told us, oh yeah, it was a lie. Yeah, too bad. We just took the lives of a couple of million people, made 39 million refugees according to the cost of war, right? But yeah, it was just a small lie. It doesn't matter. But all those channels are still on YouTube. But when you say, oh, Xi Jinping is a great president, then all of a sudden your channel must be gone off the platform. So my question is, what is it that YouTube actually wants? Do they want to be informative or not? It looks like not. It looks like they're all in cahoots to silence all voices that are not in line with what they want the people to believe. And that is very concerning, I think. Let me know what you all think of this in the comment section, but please keep it respectful. Just mind-blowing to me. Well, it's not really mind-blowing. I saw it coming, but yeah. This discussion must start right now. Why is it that private companies are allowed to infringe and abuse our constitutional rights? I think everybody agrees that that should not be happening, right? Anyway, let me know what you all think of this in the comment section, but please keep it respectful. We are not uncivilized barbarians, unlike the ones that do not want to give you free speech. This was your favorite half Chinese, and as always, have a great day.